Imagine being locked away for decades, hidden beneath your own home, your cries for help unheard. This is the horrifying fate of Elisabeth Fritzl, a young woman who vanished without a trace, until the truth finally surfaced 24 years later. It all began in 1984, in the quiet town of Amstetten, Austria. Elisabeth, an 18-year-old girl, suddenly disappeared. Her father, Josef Fritzl, insisted that she had run away to join a religious cult, leaving her devastated family behind. Posters of her missing face were scattered across the country. Investigators searched, but there were no leads, no evidence, just an eerie silence that would last for nearly a quarter of a century. Yet, the horrifying truth was much closer than anyone could have imagined, hidden just beneath their feet. Stay tuned as we unravel the nightmarish reality behind Elisabeth Fritzl's disappearance and the shocking discovery that changed everything. The disappearance and initial investigation. The last day of freedom. On August 28, 1984, Elisabeth Fritzl, a quiet yet determined 18-year-old, was last seen at her family home in Amstetten, Austria. She had been growing increasingly frustrated with her controlling father, Josef Fritzl, and had confided in friends about her desire to escape her oppressive household. That night, she had no idea her father's dark obsession was about to trap her in a nightmare she couldn't escape from: the suspicious disappearance. When Elisabeth vanished, her parents reported her missing, but Josef Fritzl presented authorities with a handwritten letter, allegedly from Elisabeth, stating that she had run away to join a religious cult and didn't want to be found. The police, with no evidence of foul play and convinced by the letter, accepted Josef's story and closed the case. Meanwhile, just beneath their feet, Elisabeth was imprisoned in a secret dungeon, where she would remain for the next 24 years. The hidden dungeon, a living nightmare. The trap is set. For years, Josef Fritzl had been secretly constructing a hidden underground bunker beneath his home in Amstetten, Austria. Disguised as a fallout shelter, the windowless dungeon was a claustrophobic labyrinth of soundproofed chambers, accessible only by a heavy, reinforced door behind 8 locked barriers. On August 28, 1984, Josef lured 18-year-old Elisabeth into the basement under the pretense of helping him install a new door. As she stepped inside, he forced a rag soaked in ether over her face, rendering her unconscious. When she woke up, the heavy steel door was locked shut, and she realized the horrifying truth. She was trapped. For the next 24 years, Elisabeth would not see sunlight again. Her life was now controlled entirely by the man she had once called Father, a sadistic monster hiding in plain sight. 24 years of horror. The underground bunker where Elisabeth Fritzl was imprisoned was a small, claustrophobic space beneath the Fritzl family home in Amstetten, Austria. Josef Fritzl had spent years secretly constructing the dungeon, ensuring that it was completely soundproof and hidden from the outside world. The space had no windows, no fresh air, and was only accessible through a series of locked doors controlled by Josef. Inside, Elisabeth endured unimaginable suffering. She was repeatedly assaulted, starved, and deprived of even the most basic human necessities. Trapped in the darkness, Elisabeth had no means of escape, and over time she gave birth to multiple children, all while imprisoned in the underground chamber. The horror continued for 24 years, completely unnoticed by the outside world. A mother in captivity. During her 24-year imprisonment, Elisabeth Fritzl gave birth to 7 children, all fathered by her captor, her own father, Josef Fritzl. The conditions in the underground bunker were horrific, yet she was forced to raise and care for her children with almost no medical assistance, fresh air, or natural light. 3 of the children, Kirsten, Stefan, and Felix, were born and raised entirely in captivity. They never saw the outside world, living in darkness with their mother. Josef controlled every aspect of their lives, dictating when they could eat, sleep, or even move. The other 3 children, Lisa, Monica, and Alexander, were mysteriously left on the doorstep of the Fritzl family home. Josef claimed they were abandoned by Elisabeth, who he insisted had joined a religious cult. He and his wife, Rosemarie Fritzl, took in the children, raising them as their own, while their mother remained imprisoned beneath them. One newborn tragically died in captivity due to lack of medical attention. Josef Fritzl disposed of the body by incinerating it in the basement furnace, erasing any trace of the infant's existence. Despite the horrific conditions in the underground bunker, Elisabeth demonstrated remarkable resilience and dedication to her children's well-being. She took it upon herself to educate them, teaching them to read and write using old books and educational materials that were available. She also invented games to stimulate their minds and maintain a semblance of normalcy in their confined environment. The breakthrough, how the truth finally surfaced, a child's critical condition. In April 2008, Josef Fritzl, the eldest daughter of Elisabeth Fritzl, fell gravely ill. At 19 years old, she had spent her entire life confined within the underground cellar where her mother had been imprisoned by her grandfather, Josef Fritzl. Kirsten's condition deteriorated rapidly, exhibiting symptoms of kidney failure, among other severe health issues. Recognizing the severity, Elisabeth pleaded with Josef to seek medical attention for their daughter. Reluctantly, Josef agreed and transported Kirsten to the Landesklinikum Amstetten Hospital. Upon arrival, medical staff were immediately suspicious. Kirsten lacked any medical records, had never attended school, and spoke in an unusual dialect, a result of her isolated upbringing. The hospital's leading anesthetist, Zrania Albert Reiter, found Josef's explanations unconvincing and alerted the authorities. This pivotal moment set in motion the events that would ultimately lead to the revelation of Elisabeth's 24-year captivity and the atrocities committed by Josef Fritzl. The lies start to crumble. As doctors at Landesklinikum Amstetten struggled to diagnose Josef Fritzl, they urged Josef Fritzl to provide more information about her medical history. His vague and contradictory responses raised immediate red flags. Hospital staff and law enforcement needed answers. Who was this girl who had no official records, had never been seen in public, and seemed completely detached from the outside world? Josef, realizing he could no longer maintain his elaborate deception, made a critical mistake. He allowed Elisabeth to leave the dungeon for the first time in 24 years. On April 26, 2008, Josef brought Elisabeth and her 2 other captive children to the hospital under the false pretense of helping with Kirsten's treatment. What he didn't expect was that Elisabeth, now 42 years old, seized the opportunity. After a brief moment alone with hospital staff, she confessed everything: her decades-long imprisonment, the horrifying abuse, and the children she had raised in complete isolation. The truth was finally out, and Josef Fritzl's dark secret was about to unravel before the world. The moment of freedom. For the first time in 24 years, Elisabeth Fritzl stepped outside and felt the warmth of sunlight on her skin. The world had changed drastically since the day she vanished, but now, after enduring nearly a quarter of a century in captivity, she was finally free. Once, at the Landesklinikum Amstetten Hospital, police took Elisabeth aside for questioning. At first, she was hesitant and fearful, knowing that her father had spent decades controlling her every move. After officers promised her protection from Josef, she revealed the truth. What she told them was so shocking that authorities acted immediately. Within hours, police raided the Fritzl home, descending into the basement where they uncovered the unimaginable. A dark, soundproofed prison hidden beneath the house, filled with crude living conditions. The world's worst nightmare had been real all along. Elisabeth and her children had been trapped in Josef Fritzl's twisted secret, one that would soon horrify an entire nation: Josef Fritzl's arrest and trial. The arrest and confession. As soon as Elisabeth revealed the truth, police acted swiftly. Josef Fritzl was arrested on May 2008. When confronted with the overwhelming evidence, Fritzl quickly confessed, detailing the unimaginable 24 years of abuse, captivity, and control he inflicted upon his daughter. Investigators meticulously reconstructed the horror, uncovering hidden blueprints, soundproofing materials, and journals that documented his twisted actions. The sheer scale of his crimes shocked the world as every gruesome detail emerged. The courtroom and verdict. In March 2009, Fritzl stood trial, facing 5 charges, including rape, incest, false imprisonment, coercion, and murder, the last being for the infant who perished due to lack of medical care. His own defense attorney described the case as beyond human comprehension. After just 4 days of trial, Fritzl was found guilty on all counts and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He was sent to Austria's most secure psychiatric prison, where he remains to this day, reportedly living under a new identity due to fears for his safety from fellow inmates. Conclusion and unresolved questions. For 24 years, Josef Fritzl managed to conceal an unfathomable crime beneath his own home. His lies were disturbingly effective, convincing his wife, neighbors, and even authorities that his daughter had simply run away. How could such a horrifying secret remain buried for so long? Elisabeth Fritzl's ordeal is one of the most shocking cases of captivity in modern history, but it raises a chilling question. Could similar horrors be happening right now, hidden behind the walls of seemingly ordinary homes? What do you think about this case? How was Josef able to deceive everyone for so long? Could something like this still be happening today? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and do like and subscribe if you loved this video. In the next episode, we will uncover a case that shook an entire community and sent a wave of fear through the nation. Stay tuned.